be a little bit more patient. Rather than going through 7 or 6 of them, we're only going through 4 of them. This is the last one, okay? So, it's difficult for me too, okay? It's not just for you, okay? Let's go for each one, okay? Now, we took notes for all 3. Now, I'm going to go to the 4th one. Here we go. The future of the Great Barrier Reef is uncertain. In addition to the environmental hazard outlined above, hazard, right? The reef is under threats of global warming. Although coral consists of tiny carnivorous animals, those animals do not get most of their nutrition from organisms they catch. Instead, they enjoy symbiotic relationship with a form of algae called zoomophilia. Okay? Now, do I have to really pronounce this? Okay? So from now on, when you're reading this, I want you to, instead of saying zoomophilia, I want you to say zoo. Okay? It's a lot easier to read, and it doesn't stop you from reading. These are really important, okay? When you're reading, I want you to read right across rather than going, okay, 1999. Okay, these little things, right, is going to cause you to sway out of the main idea. So I want you to keep on track. And how do you keep on track? Skip words that you're going to have a hard time. Your objective is not to pronounce it correctly, or how do you say this correctly. So from now on, I'm going to say zoo. Okay, these algae live off nitrogen, okay, emitted by the coral. Like many other type of algae, zoo perform photosynthesis, okay, using energy from the sun to create sugar that can use for fuel. Some of these sugar are also absorbed by the coral that shelter the algae, okay, providing the coral with the fuel needs to live. However, the particular algae can only perform photosynthesis in the water area around. The water around them is with a very narrow temperature range. Okay, if the temperature of the water or in the ocean increases by too much, the algae cease to be able to carry out photosynthesis and are expelled by the coral, which then begins to starve to death, right? Because it is the presence of zoo that normally gives the coral its rich color. Now, coral that has expelled, the agent becomes white, okay? Leading scientists to term this as the coral bleaching, okay? Now, in this paragraph, right, the main idea is actually the last sentence. It's coral bleaching they're talking about, right? But let's continue. Here we go. Boom. Okay. The future, okay, the first sentence is future uncertain is the main point. Boom. Okay. Then they're talking about what? Threats. Global warming. Boom. Now you're going to ask yourself, so why and how, right? Okay, how is global warming affecting coral? Okay. Now they're going to go into details about it. The first thing they're going to go into is, instead of enjoying symbiotic relationship with the form of called zoo, the algae live off nitrogen of the coral. So zoo, right? Algae is equal to zoo. Okay, boom. Okay, they live what? Photosynthesis. Okay, which is, I put it in here because it's energy from the sun, right? But you guys don't need that, okay? Okay. Now the other thing is, these algae, they have to live off what? They can only live off certain temperatures, narrow temperature to survive. Okay, they starve to death if it changes. Okay, this is called coral bleaching. Now we can take that up to the main idea. Future uncertainty because of coral bleaching. Okay. Now, okay. Now we went through all 4 paragraphs. Okay, I'm so happy that you guys are patient with this, okay? Because this is pretty long, the last one, okay? And so we're going to take a look at the actual question itself. Boom, here we go. Okay, now if you look at the directions, it says an introduction sentence of basically, you have to choose 3 of them of these, 1, 2, 3. And you have to take it from these ones, all 6 of them, okay? Now I'm going to show you how, because this is really difficult to look at, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it, okay? But before I do that, let's take a look at all your notes put together. Boom, boom, okay? We have both all your notes, Okay? Now your notes tell you information. Okay? They tell you information about the coral. The first paragraph, second paragraph, third paragraph, and fourth paragraph. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So you have 4 paragraphs, right? Now if you look at them, okay, you have full notes. But we have to presume, right, you did this during the questioning. For example, if the first question says, what's the purpose of the reading, right? Then that's the answer to the question. Second says, what's the vocab? You skip through that. The third one is detail. The third question says, according to paragraph 1, why does blah, 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 right? When you're doing this note-taking is automatically done. Now, you have to remember paragraph number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Number your paragraphs, okay? Because then you just sit there and you look over it. You don't have to do this at one time, okay? Because as you guys know, this was really difficult for you and me to do this together, going back to each paragraph. It was annoying, right? So I need you to do this, okay? Now when we take all your paragraphs together, right? Okay. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically look at the actual question, okay? Now, before we do that, let's take a look at the first paragraph. Right? It's basically telling you about the coral, okay? But remember what the question was. Okay, let's go back to the question. Okay, no question. Okay. The question is, here we go. A series of reefs composing of small animals called coral. The great coral is extremely old and extremely big. Okay? Now, if you look at your first paragraph, isn't that the same thing as this? It's an introductory. So what we're going to do is we're going to cross it out. Gone. Okay? Because it talks about the same thing. Rock-like, small, across stretched ocean, and dead animal, diversity of animals, right? So that is talking about the whole thing. So we're going to cross that out. We don't need these things, okay? Okay. Now you have 3 paragraphs. Okay? Hint, hint. The answers in the paragraphs, main idea, major details, reflect the 6 answers. So we cross that out. Okay? Okay. Now, after we cross it out, we're going to look at the actual answers. Okay? Boom. Okay, now you have the 6. Okay? Okay? Now this is how the question looks like, and you have basically the statement. Okay? Now, I'm gonna switch screens because I'm gonna put all your outline at the bottom, and we're gonna put the 6 questions on top. Okay? Okay? And we're gonna match it to see which is in it, which is not in it. Okay? This first one, let's take a look. Okay? So if the question looks like this, we're going to switch it. Okay, ready, set, go. Okay, so the first one, okay, let's take a look. Okay. If we take a look at this, okay, it says variety of coral. Okay, look at the first one, okay. There are many types of corals, several hundreds of which exist in part of it, which makes it ecologically diverse place on Earth. That's almost like a introduction, isn't it? Right? Right? It doesn't really tell. In each take a look at your notes, right? Which one tells you the same thing? None of them. Right? The variety of diversity of corals, right? Okay. It doesn't really. It doesn't tell you anything about it, does it? Okay. So we're going to take that out. Okay. Let's look at the second one. Okay. The reef is a scientific treasure valued both for what it can contribute to our theological understanding of the ocean and for what it can yield terms of compound used in new medicine. Okay. Now, if you take a look at your notes of the first one, right? It says variety of coral, shelter, blah, 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 lots of animal production, a practical application, new meds. The conclusion is, we need this, okay? So that one actually refers back to the one right there, reef, scientist treasure. Why are scientists interested in it, okay? So we're going to circle that off, okay? The next one, despite efforts of protecting large areas of reef, the reef is still threatened by overfishing, shipping accidents, and oil spills. Which one has this one? All the information in it. Got it right here, right? Future uncertainties tells you about the coral bleaching. Okay, sorry, the middle one, okay? Important government protected areas, affected entire systems, human activity, fishing vessels, shipping, and oil refers back to that one, doesn't it? The one over there, right? Despite efforts of protecting, okay? So that one is almost identical, so we're gonna try and circle that off, okay? Okay, now the other one over here says, the tourist industry also possess threats of, okay, did it ever mention tourists in this whole thing in your notes? No, it's gone, okay? So that's not even it, okay? Okay, so now we have one last paragraph on future uncertainty, okay? Look over the questions, okay? Which one, these two here, which one is talking about future? The most recent threat to corals from global warming, right? Boom! Right there, global warming. But let's check the one below. Coral is quite colorful. Okay, I don't care, we don't care about color. So that is not even it, okay? Yes, they mention zoo, right? But that's not the point. That doesn't tell you variety of algae is not the point that they're trying to make. Okay, so the answer is the most recent. So we put it all together, and boom, here we go. Okay. Now that was pretty difficult, wasn't it? Okay. But there's one other one just like this one, okay? And I'm gonna go with that later.